Good afternoon. Welcome to 90.5, the Night Brookdale Public Radio. Jeff Raspe with you, and I am joined by our old friend Mike Montali from the band Hollis Brown. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Jeff?
Very good.
All
Very good,
right.
although my voice would beg to differ.
Happens. I know the feeling sometimes.
No, that's true. That's true. I should probably ask all the singers I know. How do you make this stop?
Oh boy, I'll gargle constantly. Hot tea, and trying to fake it for the night that you're supposed to be singing through it, I guess.
Cool. So the band Hollis Brown, they have a new album, In the Aftermath, tribute to the Stones' Aftermath album. And you got a couple of shows coming up in New Jersey, one really close to us, one not as far as people think from us. Thursday, June 2nd at Asbury Lanes, and Friday, June 3rd at Outpost in the Burbs in Montclair, both rescheduled from earlier this year for obvious reasons.
Yeah, you say it.
And so now I believe the first time around, these were supposed to be like half in the aftermath songs and half Hollis Brown songs.
Yeah, so we put this tribute record out in February on our label Mascot Records, and we had planned to do a bunch of these shows that were kind of hybrid in theory. Half, we were going to do most of the Rolling Stone tribute record, which is a tribute to Aftermath, the classic Stones record, and then we were going to do half original stuff, like our music. And so we booked the whole thing, and then there was that crazy wave in back in the winter, and so we pushed it out until now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still going to keep the show going with the same energy. So um, we'll see. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We've been doing it. We've done about most of the tour that we had planned. We've made up with these shows, and they've actually been rocking, man. They're like those songs are so good, and the style is so good, and they actually fit so well with our tunes that
Mm-hmm.
it's been a really fun show, and it's been fun to play, and it's yeah, they've been a blast. They've really been a blast, all of them.
Cool. Yeah. And as somebody who has seen, actually, I think I've seen both an In the Aftermath show and a when you guys did a similar tribute to the Velvet Underground's Loaded album. I remember seeing that show too. That they are fun, and at least for me, it's fun to be reminded of songs that are on those quote unquote classic albums that I kind of forgot were.
Yeah, that's been the spirit of it. We kind of chose these kind of classic seminal records that have such great back wall. Like the back wall material is so strong, and obviously there's one or two songs that are, the big classic tune, but some of the back wall stuff is so fun and so strong that we wanted to kind of capture that spirit and pay tribute to the records that kind of touched us when we were starting out as a band. And it's been a lot of fun to revisit these songs and learn them. And in learning them, you kind of bring it into your own
Mm-hmm.
songwriting, and you kind of realize some little nifty tricks that you might not have thought of before. So
A
we've
little
been
trick
doing that.
that Mick and Keith might have come up with. That,
Yeah, or might have stole from somebody else,
well,
maybe.
maybe.
But but yeah, you start to see why the stuff works, and then writing the record that we did after the Loaded record, and now writing the new stuff that we're doing after the Aftermath record. You can't help but be influenced by it, so it's a good excuse to kind of get some new blood into your own writing process.
For sure. And I forget if we talked about this the first time or the last time we talked. Um, what was it about Aftermath that attracted you guys to try in that one, which did have a couple of their big hits on it, but it's not like it was Satanic Majesty's Request or Exile or something like that. It's one of those, like, you don't realize that half of the album if you think about it. until you actually look at the track list and you go, oh, these were all on this album. Okay.
Right, and that's kind of one of the reasons we did it, but also the other reason we did it was because it was right before Keith Richards started playing different tunings. So the tunings are all, I would say, quote unquote, normal tuning. So performing them was easier to do, learn, and also fit our vibe, I think, more than perhaps some of the other Stones records would have. And it just felt a little less karaoke than perhaps doing something that was, 8 of the 10 biggest songs you ever heard in your life, like some of the other, like doing like, Let It Bleed or
Hmm.
Sticky Fingers or some of those records. And yeah, so we chose Aftermath because of the back wall. The songs are really straightforward, bluesy influence rock songs, which were kind of all 145 based, which is kind of nerdy musician talk. But yeah, it was just kind of felt right and something that we could pull off more so than some of the other Stone stuff.
Well, yeah, because it actually just occurred to me that going back a few years when you did Loaded from the Velvet Underground, they have a relatively short catalog.
They do.
So,
They do. And those tunes were way more complicated, like a little more, artistic stamp in the Velvet Underground tunes at that time anyway. So that was a little more tricky to pull off. Um,
and then, so you only had, a handful of albums to choose from. It's like, oh, let's do Loaded. When
yeah.
you get to the Stones, they've got, I don't know, 40 albums.
Yeah, and
So
so
it's like,
many classics. But we like doing these kind of things because we want to pay tribute to the things that have really inspired us and made us want to pick up guitars, and
yeah.
these are all important,
Yeah, and I know,
important
and I,
records.
I, I do remember the last time we talked, you guys, or you mentioned that, um, you know, you've now done two.
We've
So
done
some
two.
could argue you've started a series.
Well, when we were first started writing our own songs, there were a bunch of records that we were listening to when we were trying to figure out what band we wanted to be, and these were two of those records. And we always joked, like, we should always every couple years just put something out. Originally it was for Record Store Day
Right.
and, stuff like that. And we wanted to do this one for Record Store Day, but then with the pandemic and the timing of it and the whole
Oh,
thing, we're like, screw it, let's
yeah.
just put it out. So ideally, they're like little niche Record Store Day kind of releases. And we've already been, sniffing around what we would do next. But, what we should do next is probably make an originals album, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's
We can
certainly
always go back to the well if we need
right.
a little,
Yeah. And
free
actually,
stardust.
I like that you guys are thinking of it as kind of a record store day thing, because that's kind of the the appeal of a lot of the record store day releases, is that it's not just that it's on vinyl, it's not just that it's a limited edition, it's that it's something different and interesting.
Yeah, and made just for that,
Right. As
so
opposed
limited
to,
run,
I
that
mean,
kind of
I
thing.
I mean, there's interest in, whatever, a random live recording or a demos collection and stuff like that. Those are all well and good, but to actually do something that wasn't sitting in a vault for a long time, make it a new release, but make it just for record store day, is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea, and it's selfishly playing some of the songs that we love so much, and also that it's something we can continue to do if we need to and want to. More importantly,
Right. And
you know.
if you think about it, it's a lot less of a cash grab than a lot of other record store day releases, because even if it sells out, you didn't get most of the money.
No, definitely not. Certainly not for that. But I would have done something else anyway if that was the end game. But yeah, we have fun doing them. We love the music, and we like putting people on to maybe some back wall
Yeah.
stuff like that they might not know from the Stones or Velvet Underground, and also maybe in the future other projects. And it's just good music to play and fun to get in a room with the guys and play it and have fun doing it and put it out there and play some shows around it.
Yeah,
And it's just a celebration, you know.
yeah, and it kind of works the other way too. When you guys did the Loaded album at the Vogel in Red Bank, um, I happened to be sitting there, and then a friend of mine walked in and patted me on the back because I didn't see him come in, and I was like, "Wait, what are you doing here? How do you know Hollis Brown?" And he was actually there because he's a huge Velvet Underground fan.
Oh, wow, nice. Yeah. So we'll take them any way we can.
Absolutely, it works that way too.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun, and the record came out good. You know, it was just something how both of those things kind of happened, where we were asked to do these tribute shows, and so we said, well, let's learn something for it, and those were two records that we always talked about, learning and doing, even just for fun, and
Yeah,
so we
even if
learned
you
them.
just if you kept a couple that you figured out and worked out and practiced,
Exactly.
you keep a couple in your duffel bag
Yeah.
for a random encore or
You
something
throw
like that.
Sweet Jane in the set,
Yeah,
everybody loves it, or even Under My Thumb or
yeah.
something. You know, people love it. So we already kind of had it in the can, and then we said, well, we put all the work in to learn this thing for this one or two shows that we did, tribute
It'd
things.
be
So
a
we
shame to
might as well
forget them.
record it. Yeah, might as well record them since we know them. It'd be cheap to do. So yeah, but they're a lot of fun to do. I really like them, and it for me also, it, like I mentioned earlier, it inspires you to
Hmm.
in your own writing more so. It kind of kicks you in the butt a little bit to be like, hey, you gotta your tunes have to compete with this stuff, you know.
Yeah, perhaps even to the point of you know whatever these guys wrote and recorded this in 3 weeks. What's holding us back? Come on.
Exactly, and also when you play it in the set and then you play your tune and it feels kind of like, okay, like we're doing something right.
We're in the
It's
same ballpark.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, light years ahead. I mean, it probably is, but who knows, you know. In my own head.
Mike Montali from Hollis Brown is here with us today on 90.5 The Night. So you did mention that by doing this, you've kind of kickstarted the next Hollis Brown record, at least the writing of it. So how far along are you guys on that?
We're pretty far along, actually. We've pretty much written the record, and now we're figuring out the way to get it recorded with the vibe we're looking for and the people we want and the timeline and the arrangements and all that. So the songs are written. We've written a lot of songs.
Cool.
Yeah, over the past since Ozone Park came out, which was our last originals album in 2019. So we've written for a couple years now. We've probably had 50 or 60 songs we've written, you know. So we've narrowed them down, because with a band it's different than a solo record, right? You got to figure out what aesthetic do we want to capture here with this release. So a lot of conversations about that, and we're kind of leaning like the Aftermath project would say, in more of a bluesy kind of rock bluesy kind of direction. So it's going that route, which is great. So we kind of picked those tunes and we've been
Hmm.
working on them, and
Save the others for maybe later.
yeah, exactly. And you just write what you write, and but you can choose what direction you want to go. So we're in that process, making sure we're all on the same page and all vibing with the tunes, and then we'll get in the studio hopefully this summer and
Oh,
crank it
cool.
out. Hopefully, yeah, that's the plan.
Then you've got June 2nd coming up at Asbury Lanes, June 3rd at Outpost in the Burbs in Montclair. Which, if listeners out there have never been to an Outpost in the Burbs show, it is fantastic. It's held in an old church in Montclair. The artist sets up at the altar,
Yeah, pretty
let's
much.
say,
You set up on the
which is
altar of
maybe a
his.
little weird, but
It's weird, but it's not weird. I mean, we've toured Europe a bunch, and it's kind of common out there
oh,
in
really?
Enterprise. Yeah, we've done a bunch of those kind of things, and Outpost in the Burbs is a really special venue, which we've never played before,
Hmm.
and Asbury Lanes too. It's a fun place that really nice, good
Yep.
sound, good stage, and so we've never played that place either. So both of these are like a first for us. And like I said, they're rescheduled shows.
Yeah,
So we're excited to just complete the journey here of this record release and this tour, and get them in the can, you know.
absolutely. Once again, that's Thursday, June 2nd at Asbury Lanes in Asbury Park, and Friday, June 3rd, out Outpost in the Burbs. And for anybody who's been listening and wondering what sounds like dog tags jingling, who's that that's off
That's
camera?
my two dogs running around here. I'm sure you've heard them, shaking and scratching and running around on the tiled floor.
Anybody
That's what
close
you
enough to
get.
grab?
Yeah, hold on. Let me get one of them here. Come here. Let me bring him up. This is Otis. This is my
Oh,
he's a corgi Jack Russell mix. He's 7, and he's not too happy that I grabbed him. And now I got Scoop here, he's a 13-year-old min pin, miniature
oh
pin.
wow.
We actually adopted him during the pandemic, so he's like a new addition, but he's a senior dog.
I
So
was gonna say, but you went ahead and adopted a senior dog. Kudos.
yeah, of course, he's fitting in good. So yeah, you know. So that's it.
Cool. We had to do that. Little bonus for people who watch the video.
Yeah, exactly. So the people who heard the dog tags in the interview on the radio won't get to experience the magic of
But that's a sound I know very well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Dog tags jingling, and dog nails on hard floors.
yeah, you don't get that in the studio radio interview, Zoom only, I suppose.
Yeah, and I have not had a dog of my own in many many years, so
Oh, really?
I'm
Okay.
glad to. But I grew up uh, probably until I was 30 or so with dogs in the house. So
Yeah, I love having them around. It's really good.
at one,
Adds a whole element to the house, right?
yes, at one time, anybody who's seen some of my social media posts around Christmas, at one time when my brother and I were maybe 6, 7, something like that, we had 2 adult collies and 7 puppy collies at one time.
Whoa. Wow. A lot of work.
Well, not for me and him,
No.
but
So that's why you don't have a dog anymore. You had
no,
enough.
I actually the first few years I didn't have one. I did still sort of, you know how like if you've lost a limb, you have the phantom limb. I had phantom feelings of, something wandering around the house, that
Wow.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you're waking up like I gotta walk something.
So
No?
I do miss it, but there's just between me and, as you can see, things like CDs and records, there's not enough room in this tiny house for.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. The things we love, right? You never know.
And to make matters worse, I'm even during a pandemic, I spend a lot of time out at shows. So
Yeah, well, hope you can make it on the second or the third.
absolutely,
Come by and say hello.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
And
we're looking
before,
forward to it, man. We love coming down to Jersey and
yeah,
playing. It's always
hey,
such a rock and roll energy,
the
and
first
especially
time I met Hollis Brown was at the Wonder Bar. You guys were playing a show with Jesse Mallon that I had commandeered to turn into my anniversary show. And
I remember that. I think that was maybe the second or third time we had played the Saint once before
mhm,
that to about 2 people probably, and now filling up the place is a pretty cool feeling,
yeah,
you know. So, and
yeah,
and and Asbury Park and Outposts in the Burbs and venues like that are really so good for bands like us and really help, build a community of rock, you know.
yeah,
It's really
yeah.
good.
And before I let you go, now that we've seen the dogs, I do want to mention this other band you're in,
Ah, the Cats.
Fantastic Cats.
Yeah.
Finally have an album imminent, right?
Yeah, imminent. Imminent is a good word for it. We're actually announcing something in the next week or two. We're going to be announcing the release this summer we'll be putting out. So Fantastic Cat it's a group that I kind of started with Don DeLago, Brian Dunn, and Anthony D'Amato, kind of around the time of the pandemic, just looking to get a no pressure retreat, songwriter
Hmm.
retreat almost, where we went to Don's house in the Poconos and just sat around and we're like, "You got a song? Yeah, let's play it. You got a song? Yeah, I got a song. Let's play them." Just for fun. We didn't even think anything would, really come of it. We were all just buddies and had some
Yeah.
songs we wanted to kick around, and the record came out pretty good. And so it's going to be coming out this summer, and we've got a show at the Bowery Ballroom July
Yes.
29th. So that'll be a fun one. And
Which I'm happy to see I believe it was Anthony's idea to call it the first waltz.
yes, that was Anthony's idea. We fought
He told
tooth
me
and
that
nail.
a couple of months ago, but that's the name you're going with.
What's the name we're going with? Too many too many chiefs on this one. So I said, you know what? What's in a name, right? What's in But yeah, we're gonna show up. We're gonna play it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's a great venue. It's a great record. Great group of dudes, and we're gonna have a fun summer with playing some of these shows. It's no pressure. It's a couple shows here, a couple shows there, a couple good dudes, and
Hmm.
we have fun with it.
Are you allowed to say who else is on that show at the Bowery Ballroom? Which, by the way, I wrote down is July 29th.
Yes, July 29th, Bowery Ballroom. No, I can't say anything about it
Okay.
yet. It's gonna be special though. We're gonna do some different things that you won't necessarily see at a show of that nature. Put it that way.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
I
So
don't
we
know
got
if we
that to
I
look
don't know if
forward
we
to.
figured it out ourselves yet, to tell you the truth, but
Well, you've got until well, not July 29th, but you've
28th.
you've got until
Got
maybe
till
the
20.
28th to figure it
Yeah,
out.
exactly. So we're working.
Cool. So that's July 29th, the Fantastic Cats show at Bowery Ballroom, known as the First Waltz. Get
Yeah,
it? Get
first
it?
waltz.
And more immediately, June 2nd at Asbury Lanes and Asbury Park, and June 3rd at Outpost in the Burbs in Montclair will be Hollis Brown shows. One set of the In the Aftermath Rolling Stones tribute album, and one set of original Hollis Brown tunes.
Yeah, it'll be a nice, long, fun night.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So look forward to either, maybe both, to Thursday and Friday, the Asbury Lanes and Outpost shows. And that
Come
is
on out.
yeah, and we figured this out earlier. That is the end of Memorial Day week.
Right.
Those
So
2 days.
Memorial Day's on the Monday, and we'll be there on the Thursday and Friday. So
Cool.
be
So we'll look
perfect.
forward to that, and the upcoming Hollis Brown Originals album and the Fantastic Cat album. Thank you so much, Mike.
Whew,
Always good to see you.
keep 'em busy.
Hey, you got to.
Thank you, man. I'll talk to you soon.